and I'm on an America First Coalition candidate call every week, and we compare what's going on around the country. It's amazing. And, I think I said before that there were candidates, and we have validation of this, that were told that if you'll just not say anything about elections, we will get you over the finish line, right? And that was to their peril, because they wanted to take out the ones that were making noise, like me, in the primary. But because these candidates did not say anything about elections, they wanted to take them out in the general. And I'll tell you, I have to really take my hat off to, to people like Mark Fincham and our dear Arizona people. I mean, I'll tell you, they have fought. And
Yeah, Kari Lake has done phenomenal. Abe Hamadon has done phenomenal. Blake Masters. I mean, that was the perfect four if it could have been done. I told everybody this, Tina, see if you agree. I said, of all the races across the United States, Arizona is uniquely evil. And here's what I mean. If Kari would have gotten in as governor, Fincham as Secretary of State, Masters as the supporting senator, and then Abe as the AG, everything was there to finally get this rooted out, exposed, litigated, and convicted, because the AG's only going, first off, you need the senator so you can get basically the committees and investigations going. Abe would have gone after it, but if you got a bad Secretary of State, they can make him stand down, and the Secretary of State's going to answer to the governor. I think that's why they fought so hard. Am I on target with that?
That's right. And, Kari Lake won every single county in the primary. I mean, this was so cheated. And I'll tell you, I was in a meeting the other night with some patriots here in Colorado, and the people in Arizona are saying, no, if we need to take to the streets and we need to, and, it's interesting because, I look at what happened with Christina Caramo. I mean, incredible. I call Jocelyn Benson, who was her opposition. She is the twin sister of the Democrat Association of Secretary of State, Jena Griswold, who is, who was the Secretary of State here. I mean, these criminals are going to have to be brought down for the fraud that they are perpetuating. But, I just want to say real quick, because I think this is important, and I put it out on my Telegram channel at The Real Tina Peters. Going back to us encouraging each other. And, there's so many people in the fight. And I want to really do a shout out to those behind the scenes that are doing the data, that are, the anons that don't get any recognition. There's a lot of people involved in this that you don't necessarily see like this on a show. But we need to, once again, I just want to say this: don't criticize what other people are doing. And I want to read something by Theodore Roosevelt. Do you mind if I read this?
Please do.
It says, "It is not the critic who counts." It says, "Not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short." Sorry, my dog, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end that the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt. And this was excerpt from a speech called Citizens in a Republic. delivered in Paris. I would encourage everyone to read that, to recognize that, you're going to, I tell people, I say, don't look at Donald Trump. Don't look at Mike Lindell. Don't look at me. Look at what you're doing and start at the local level, because they have perpetuated this fraud from the top down.
Right.
And it was the city council election that woke me up, and people, just like the people listening to your show, came to me and said, Clerk Peters, there's something wrong. There's something not right. So get involved. Go to your city council meetings, go to your school board meetings, commissioner meetings, because when we get these people out of office, these crooks, these infiltrators, when we get them out, and we will, there have to be people that can fill in those
That's right.
voids, fill in those
That's right.
places, right? So, yeah.
I'd like to do it. I'd like to do kind of a check with you on things I'm seeing and saying, just, as a peer, and see what you think. I've told people, as much as we all love Donald J. Trump and what he did for America, open America's eyes, please understand that right now, with President Trump announcing he's going to run again, don't focus just on that, because the fight we're going through is different than him running for president. And I mean that by, we can't just stand down and assume he's going to take care of it and everything's going to be all right. We've got 2 years of fight ahead of us before he ever gets in office, and we do that. And so I'm encouraging people, because many times we're waiting for other people to save us. We're waiting for the special military day or the special Q day or whatever, and we can't. We have to be more vigilant and active than ever. And so, as much as I love the man and support the man, we've got to understand, look, that's a different process. We're still going to support it, but it's not the fight we're fighting. Is that sound advice, do you think, in your opinion?
I am so on board with that, and in agreement with you, Jovan. Everybody has to stand up. I always say when I speak, everyone can do something. I didn't get into what they called politics until 2016. And I said, you know what? I said, we can't let that woman get in the White House. If we do, I'd been a business owner for 32 years, and I went to a volunteer meeting, and there were 8, I was one of 8 people. And I looked around, I said, oh my gosh, I thought people that were good at this stuff were doing it. It's us. It's all of us. It's our republic. It's our freedom. It's our liberty. It's our children and grandchildren that we have to stand up for. And everyone is born for such a time as this. Every single person, right? So I totally agree with you, Jovan.
Great. Another one I want to bounce off of you. And by the way, I know you won't hold back if you think I'm wrong. And I value and I want your opinion. I have been telling people, especially for Arizona, I am exceptionally concerned. If you look at the January 6th committee and the rephrasing from coup or insurrection to conspiracy, which means it opens it wide up for a lot of charges. And they're trying to say that Donald J. Trump is raising an army and they intend to do something, which is the basis of conspiracy. I've personally asked people in Arizona, if you're going to get out, stand shoulder to shoulder. That's fine. Don't yell, don't scream, don't cuss, don't even point. And the reason I say that, don't like point people down and rap at them, because the media can optically spin that a certain way. I want a few extra. I asked people during voting time, don't wear your MAGA gear, right? If you need an excuse in the midterms, it's a good excuse. Dye your hair pink. It's a very good excuse. Just go camouflage. But what I'm now worried about is people can get out and should get out and show their support. But I'm thinking we need to be very careful about where we choose that. And my example is, this is an issue at the Capitol, just right down the street, because that's where the lawmakers are. I'm asking people not to go to MTech where the ballots are counted. And here's my reasoning. Those are not the lawmakers. They've already fenced off and cordoned off the area. They already have reinforcements so cars can't drive through. They had all kinds of sheriffs with sheriff snipers on top of the roof, and they actually had crowd control riot horses, 10 of them, and cops there during the election day. I'm asking people, understand where your effort is going to make the difference, not at MTech. They're expecting that, and they just want something that they can show that this is an insurrection and he did get people to do this, and see, they went to MTech. Is that solid advice? Because you've actually managed these people. Don't go to where they're counting. Go to right there to the Capitol. You're there anyway. Show your force there. But these people who could very well just be in their job don't know what's going on. But if they're already expecting and reinforcing it and all these police signed to it, stay away. How do you feel about that?
You know, the best advice that I have ever gotten was General Michael Flynn early on told me, be as vocal and as visible as you can be. He says the safest you will be is being vocal and visible. So on one hand, we can't be sheep led away to the slaughter, right? Like the Jewish
Absolutely.
people were. But on the other hand, we have to make sure that we're wise. You know, the Bible says, be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. And we have to do this with love and consideration. And, you know, they tried, I mean, in Colorado and other places, because that was the model, you know, Jena Griswold telling the other Democrat secretaries of state, you know, talk about how you're afraid for your life and all this stuff. Well, I'm sorry. I had my hotel room broken into after this was discovered, you know, and then I had my concealed carry permit revoked. And I said, I'm the most hated person on the left. And as a woman, I consider that an equalizer, you know, being able to carry a firearm.
That's right.
But they try to turn all this stuff and use these narratives against us. We have to be bold and we have to call them out. We have to call them out on it. And, you know, but we can do that in a way that's productive. And so I would say if you need to peaceably assemble and take signs and say, you know, I mean, my supporters had signs that said, get rid of Dominion,
Right.
and things like that. But I do believe we don't want to play into their hand. They will infiltrate with their BLM and their Antifa and those. So we just have to be wise, but we need to be visible and we need to be vocal.
I called it out because one of the people marching around the MTech Center, which is the ballot counting center, literally, now, more than likely was a plant, because I just can't believe a conservative or anybody in their right mind would play into this,
Right.
but was literally in camo and tactical gear, carrying a sign talking about a well-regulated militia. And that is dangerous and nuts. I just strongly recommend people don't do that. Okay, sitting back looking at the midterms, what did you notice going on and where things were going wrong?
You know, here's the thing, Jovan, we can do this just like France does it. We can do by precinct. We can do same day voting. You know, we can do all of these things, get rid of the electronic poll books, get rid of the machines. We don't need all this actually, it's more efficient if we have paper poll books. It's more efficient if we count them at the precincts the day of.
That's right.
So, you know, and what I saw and what all of America saw was that they kept delaying everything and it was obvious they were trying to figure out how they could get the steal in.
Is there any logical excuse that they would need? I tell people in 1992 in Los Angeles County, California, in 24 hours, they counted 2.8 million ballots. And here we are in 2022, and it took 7 days and still not done of 1.6 million ballots. And that's just the porosity of the system, how they've designed it now. Since you've run these things, is there any logical reason at all or justified reason for you not to be able to get your ballots counted?
Well, you know, in Colorado and other states, you have a certain number of days. So let's just say your ballot envelope goes through and there's a signature discrepancy, which is what they're counting on. Then you have 8 days in Colorado. It's different in different states to what they call cure your ballot. And I was seeing all kinds of Democrat operatives going out there, cure your ballot. Well, now they're working on text to cure. So these programs where you can just text in that, yes, that's me, and you can go ahead and count it. So it's become so complicated with the cheat and the steal, but that's what they do. They give people that there's a discrepancy in their ballot envelope or their signature to give them a certain number of days after the election. In this particular case, most of the patriots voted on the last day, voted on election day. And the reason that they did that was because we already know, because of David Becker, who is ERIC, Electronic Registration Information Center, who hates America, hates conservatives, runs that most of the registration information for our elections. And so we know that by voting early, in many cases, they were able to see who had voted, who hadn't, and to vote for people that hadn't voted, right? So that's the reason, for people that don't know, that's the reason that the call went out to vote on election day, so that we could overwhelm the vote, which is a great idea. But, it's interesting because the vote of anything should have gone up, not down, after election night, right? Because most of the conservatives were there. And so when you have a situation where they're saying, just put your ballot, the machines are having some kind of glitch and such like that, that's all that's all BS. I'm sorry.
It is crap. Let me just confirm this with you. When in your precincts, ones you've run, that when people come in to vote, and here's how I look at it: when you decide to vote by a mail-in ballot, when you sign that envelope and send in that mail-in ballot, you are expressing an agreement that I have no problem with it being counted this way. Here it is. Here's my signature. Right? I'm going to mail it to you. I trust you. When you decidedly do not vote a mail-in ballot, or one that you've been given, and you intentionally go in on election day to vote, you're there because you want to be given that ballot. You want to mark that ballot. You want to look at it, make sure it's the way you want it. And then now that you have marked that ballot, you actually want to cast that ballot. And the act of casting it is feeding it to the machine and knowing the machine took it. If anything interrupts that and all of a sudden, we'll get it later, here it is, all they've done is revert you back to mail-in voting against your will. Now, my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that in a precinct where this happens and ballots aren't running, you either get that machine fixed fast or you get another machine, but you're scanning them there at that precinct. And you're certainly not magically, how ironic they came up with, we got this box number 3 now. How did they know? But anyway, we'll set that aside. And they've got that dropping it outside of a intent to scan it, confirming that it's there, only to not, you not only are you don't really know if it's going to be counted or not. You have no way to count it. It's completely separated away from you now. And by the way, you gave them what they needed, and that's just you checking in a poll book. Now that makes that ballot irrelevant because they can do whatever they want. They've got to check in. Was that just a nefarious hack in your mind?
There were so many judges that were saying that the ballots were being put in with already counted ballots, which would have been placed somewhere else and not been counted.
That's right. They're not going to count them. They're not going to rescan them again. I've heard they had a divider in it, from what I understand. And the ones that weren't counted were to go here, and they're supposed to have a divider. And then you had the ones in the back that were counted. But of course, people made mistakes all over the place, and they pulled out that divider. Boom, they're all there. They're not going to rerun them because they're not going to count double again. They got a problem.
Plus, they know that Republican votes or the conservative votes for these candidates are being done on the last day. So they don't want to count them.
That's right.
We had some situations in our state where this one judge, election judge, she was on the adjudication team. So that's where if the machine kicks something out for the Democrat and Republican judges to look at, then they determine the voter intent, right? So they can actually change that ballot by hand to make it say whatever they want. And the safeguard is supposed to be that you have a Democrat and a Republican there that have to agree on the voter intent.
Right.
So this ballot comes through to this election judge, and usually in Colorado, it will have like a red box around the issue that they want to adjudicate, or that the
Right.
machine says is a problem. So she looks at what the machine has said that needs to be adjudicated, and then she starts looking at the rest of the ballot. Well, on the rest of the ballot was a candidate that had been marked out by the voter. So obviously the voter did not want to choose this person, but the machine had already picked that as a person of choice.
That's
for
right.
that. And I know you've
The
examined
artificial
these ballots.
intelligence, the AI adjudication is a rig, because they're not letting you look at the whole ballot. They're making decisions under it. And 2020 was the first time they inserted it. We have
That's right.
to get rid of artificial intelligence adjudication.
That's right. So, so we can beat this dead horse forever and ever. What we know for certain is there is fraud in our elections. And, we can, keep going over all the fraud, all the examples. The point of it is there is fraud in our elections, and the people are tired of it. And and we all have to hold the criminals to account. And that's where we are right now. That the people are waking up. I have, and I don't want to say who yet, but I have a very high ranking candidate that has reached out to me finally, because they were told to be quiet. They were what we call the rhino, and their race was defeated. So they got to learn at the end. And so give these people grace, we've labeled, that have, that are just now coming around. It took me until 2016 to get involved. It took me to 2021 to understand that they were cheating in the election. So what we need to do, and my call to action for everyone, send out selection code, not because I'm in it at all, but because it explains how the vote is getting cheated in a nice, gentle way for someone that has no prior knowledge, no foundation, like many of your listeners do, your audience does. But it gives them, it's easy to watch. It's 1 hour. It has human interest. It has drama. It has humor, but in there, it has data and fact in a way that's very palatable. So it's not just giving dry data to people that go, oh, ho hum, I don't understand this. So I would say everybody should get that out there, and let's just start educating people. We need the masses to be educated, and they love their families just like we do. They love their freedom just like we do. They just don't know yet. So
That's true. We have a learning curve to do. So I appreciate you, Tina, coming on. If you can't
Yeah.
act as an ambassador, get everybody together from all angles, because there is no one person that knows everything. Collectively, we know a lot. We got to push this knowledge base together and figure out how to work together. And so, Tina, I just want to say thank you so very much for coming on the program. I know you are a true great American hero, and the people love you. We wish the best for you, folks. Don't forget Tina Peters for
I love you
Colorado,
guys.
and
I
good
love
to
you guys.
support. Thank you so much, Tina, for joining us. Well, there you go, folks. Good stuff. Tina Peters is a rock star. She's it. She's the real deal, fighting for you right out there in the trenches. I do like the fact that she says, look, it even took her. She didn't think elections were rigged. She didn't think elections were bad. She had to learn the hard way. She had to learn, that things aren't always what they seem. And on that note, I think what we should do is realize we're winning And let's wake up the neighbors. You know what we're going to do. Okay, folks, come on. Sing it out loud. This is what binds us together. We're in this fight.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red blast, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, traitors that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land of the free, and the home of the brave. Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in the name of the brave. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. It's land of the brave, the U.S. of A. Oh, traitors that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land of the free, and the home of the
Damn, that's good. Damn, that's good. Better make sure that it doesn't loop. Hang on. No. Okay. Whew. I wasn't going to loop it again. Anyway, folks, Tina Peters is great. Nothing's perfect in all this. We've talked many times about I wish on the side of the people really doing the audits and the deep data work, paperwork, or whatever it is, and everything, we've got to get together. We cannot repeat the mistakes of the 2021. We have to get together. We learned a tremendous amount since undertaking the 2020 official Maricopa audit. We've learned how they've done it, and we've seen that they're in it for keeps, and they're going to keep on evolving, because this time they did new things. And we have to remember that. And so I would love nothing more than everybody coming together. I would love nothing more than all of the people that are even the what I would call influencers or otherwise have to begin to work together. Even in the messaging, we're not messaging united. And if that's one thing that the left does, is they message consistent and united. You heard it here. And of course, you're a smarter audience than most. I told you about this junk of a recount. Dana just told you how that rig really works. It's just counting paper. It has nothing to do with the votes. We have to get our terminology right. We have to get our methodology right. We have to get our talking points and our messaging to the public right. And this requires that we all get united. It does not matter if somebody is more forceful and direct than you, and you like to be nice and mousy quiet. It takes everybody. It takes all hands on deck. There's plenty of positions. There are people that will go nice and quiet and communicate people, and there will be people like me that can be razor sharp and cut you to shreds. But it takes everybody, all kinds of players, mixed players, not players that are all doing the same junk. And this is why we have to work very hard. We've got to get our terminology right. It's not recounts, folks. Arizona's a redo, not a recount. It's two completely different things. But this is it. It's going to be a very, very, very hard fight. When it comes to it's either going to be a recount or a full forensic audit, and it needs to be a true freaking full forensic audit, not some light panty waist version that won't get us anywhere. It has to be hardcore, hard-hitting, hard facts, done right. But we are all in this together. We either succeed together or we all die together. Our children, our grandchildren, all together. And we're not going to fix this with just looking at public data. We got to get into the machines. We got to get into the poll books. We got to get into the paperwork. We got to get into the balance. We got to get into the envelopes. I'm talking everything. And just because you don't like someone, you can't say, I'm not going to work with them because they're too mean. We have to figure this out. Our lives depend on it. It's sink or swim. You're right. Anyway, I love you all. Thank you for your support. It was so great to get Tina on. Boy, are they torturing her and trying to ruin her. But that shows you, just take that woman who's a very special, kind, gentle, but strong woman. And you see how they try to eviscerate her. Her job was to run the elections and to run them right. It's her election. It's her name on that dotted line. She didn't think there was anything wrong until she looked at it, opened her eyes, and went, oh, my God. And now they want to paint her the criminal. They will stop at nothing. We've seen all kinds of stuff. You've seen it there. They took her incapacitated husband, mucked with her life, tried to poison me. There's all kinds. They've done so many horrendous things. It's nuts because they don't want you to wake up. They don't want you to know you are the cure. They'll support the woke, but being woke is not being awake. But they'll gladly push on you their agendas, take your money left and right. They can certainly count their freaking donations. They just can't count the ballots. And frankly, I think that's a crock of shit. But you can't put this genie back in the bottle. I just want everybody to be wise. You got to be very wise. And I am not saying stand down. I am saying be smart. Don't play into the agenda, because see, it's a double hit here, folks. You know, if they can get enough people out there to make stupid mistakes, dress in camo, dress in tactical gear, go marching around, driving around the MTech Center, playing like they're tactical SWAT teams and stuff, you have to understand the next part of that. That is what they're trying to say Donald J. Trump has been organizing. Not only can you get yourself in trouble and hurt everybody, but you could actually end up taking him out of the mix. And we need him fighting in the mix. You've got to be aware what's at stake. You cannot go off half-cocked. Everybody knows, look, we all know we're angry. But you don't get so angry that you run through the fucking minefield with abandon. You don't do that. I question many people giving out some of these ridiculous stuff. I question as to where they come from. Are they setting you up? Is that what they're doing for followers? Hey, yeah, let's get there. Let's do this. Get your camo and let's do this. I wonder. So I'm asking every one of you to be smart, be loud, be proud, be diligent, fight. Yes, you have to fight. But you got to think about it, and you got to think through wisdom and truth and not anger. I think it goes unsaid, we're all angry. We don't need to say it. Yes, we are all freaking angry. But when your government is trying to take away our guns, when your government is trying to say, we got to get rid of this militia crap, the Second Amendment, you don't put on your freaking camo and tactical gear thinking you're solving a problem. You're playing into their narrative. And people that push you that way are probably getting paid to push you into that narrative. Just be smart. I love you all. I'm not going to leave you on a down. I'm going to play you the video and going out because I'm not going to leave you on a down. I love you all. Have a great evening.
Rocket train to save this land of the brave, the U.S. of A. Oh, Satan's that star spangled banner gave way for the land of the free. In the home of the
Most people are afraid to stand up and speak out, but not you. You've been learning how to tell the system to cut the crap. What can I do to help save the America I love? And the answer is learn how to fight back and tell the system to cut the crap. Cut the Crap's not just a radio program, it's a movement. The right kind of movement, which breaks free the conservative constipation and reminds you that you are the majority. And we're just not going to take it anymore. Make sure you're following Jovan Hutton Pulitzer on all social media. See you next week. And between now and then, take a stand and tell them all to cut the crap.